Today I'm going to be showing you how to timestamp specific actions inside of ClickUp using date custom fields. This could be anything like a status change, a field is updated, a comment is added, anything that you would want to trigger a timestamp. For this example, we're going to automatically create timestamps when a task is moved to a particular status. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Okay, so to get started timestamping, we're going to have to identify something that triggers a timestamp and what we were actually timestamping. And now the cool thing about making timestamps is you can trigger them from anything. So if you go to your little automations tab here, click manage, and then you look over here at your triggers, you could treat any custom field change to timestamp something. You could trigger status change, a comment, a date. There's all kinds of things you can use to trigger a timestamp. Now just keep that in mind. That when you're looking at all these, any of these things can trigger timestamp. But for this example, we're going to be creating a timestamp when a given lead enters a different status, so that over a long period of time, we might be able to look at differences in time between statuses. So how long does it take on average from a lead to go from in contact to negotiating? How long does it take a lead to go from contract out to closed? You can't calculate these things unless you are timestamping them as they go along. So our expected result would be that when the lead moves into in contact, it gets an in contact timestamp, it gets a negotiating timestamp. There'll be a timestamp for each one of these statuses. So let's get started with making those timestamp date custom fields, because that's what we're essentially going to need to do, is create specific custom fields for every timestamp that we want to make. All right, so we're going to start with a date here. We'll call this in contact timestamp. We'll just abbreviate it TS for now for short. And then we'll give it a nice little emoji. I always recommend using emojis when creating custom fields. So we'll create the in contact timestamp. We will create the negotiating timestamp. And we will create the contract out timestamp. Remember, these are all date custom fields we are creating in this list we are working in. There's your little date emoji. And then finally, we'll make our closed timestamp. So now what we need to do is we need to tell ClickUp what things should trigger a specific timestamp. And this is pretty simple logic. When a task is moved into any particular status, timestamp it. So now to timestamp all these, we go back up into automations, click manage automations. We're going to click add automation. And we're going to call this TS for timestamp. And our first status was in contact. So we're going to change the trigger to task only because we're not using subtasks for this example. And we're going to say when the status changes from any to in contact, set the in contact timestamp to the trigger date, or the trigger date and time if you want to be really specific. So I'm going to say on trigger date and time, because for this timestamp, I want to know the day as well as the time that whatever trigger action occurred. So I will know exactly the time and the date that this lead was moved to in contact. So when I click create, that automation is created. So if I take Angela Martin, put her back in a new opportunity, and then put her into in contact, we should see this timestamp automatically stamp. There we go. Now we have this custom field that says our exact date and time that Angela Martin was put into the in contact phase. Now all we're going to do is repeat that exact same process with all of the different statuses and their custom fields that correlate to them. So we'll go back to manage automations. We're going to say duplicate in current location. And instead of in contact, we're going to change it to, okay, we want to timestamp when it goes into negotiating. And instead of stamping the in contact field, we're going to stamp the negotiating field. And we will call this timestamp negotiating. And we will duplicate it. All right. And now we're going to duplicate this one in current location. Instead of doing negotiating, now we want to know when it goes into contract out. And instead of changing the negotiating timestamp custom field, we're going to do the contract out timestamp custom field. We're going to call this timestamp contract out and save it. And then one more time, we're going to do it with the closed field, or the closed status. Current location, timestamp closed. When status changes from any to closed. Oop, we need to uncheck our previous one here because we don't care about contract out anymore. When status changes to close, timestamp the closed date custom field on trigger date and time. And we're going to click duplicate. All right. Okay, so now that those automations are all made, we should be able to take Michael Scott and move him through all our statuses, and it should timestamp exactly when he was moved into each of those statuses. So let's go ahead and give it a shot. So we're going to take Michael Scott, move him to in contact. Now we should get a timestamp for the date and time he was moved into in contact. Great. Now we're going to take him and we're going to move him into negotiating. And we should get a timestamp in this field right here of when it was moved into negotiating. Perfect. Now we're going to move him into contract out, and we should get the timestamp of when he was moved into contract out right here. Beautiful. And now we're going to move him into closed, and we should get a timestamp here of when he was moved to closed. All right. So the great part about this timestamping feature is over a long period of time with a lot of different tasks or object types, whether they're leads or contracts or whatever they are, you can create a dashboard to show differences between dates, how long things took between statuses, and overall there's 100 uses for creating individual timestamps on tasks for various triggers. So hope this helps. If this video was helpful for you, please make sure to subscribe and let me know in the comments if there's anything else about ClickUp that you were confused about or that you would like to see. And as always, we have a completely free community for ClickUp and asking questions about ClickUp, and that is school.com/ClickUp. So if you have more questions about ClickUp or you want to talk to me directly, you can find me there. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video.